Hey everybody. So one of the things that I've been thinking about a lot, especially lately, and especially since I turned 57, is how society has conditioned us to believe that, our kids will eventually take care of their elderly parents when they get old. And it's always been ingrained in me culturally as a young kid that it was our duty to take care of our aging parents. And for me, I think that's great, but what if you don't have kids? That's the situation for me. My wife and I decided not to have kids many years ago. And so the question became, who's going to take care of us when we get to our 80s and possibly in a care home? And so I started thinking, well, we had to develop some kind of plan, a second half plan that would put us in the driver's seat so that we can make decisions independently without having strangers decide for us. And this video is not only for, couples or people who are single that don't have kids, but you could probably learn something a little bit if you do have kids. And sorry, just rounded a corner here, make sure I don't get hit by a car. Yeah, so I think it's important to have a solo aging plan. And that's what I'm going to discuss in today's video. Because having kids does not always guarantee that they're going to take care of you when you get older. So first thing I want to discuss and what I learned is it's a myth that your adult children are going to take care of you. I know in the comment section from previous videos that a lot of people were ragging on the people that didn't have kids and say, well, no one's going to be able there to take care of you when you get older. But you don't know. There's no guarantee. You don't know if the kids are going to take care of you. And I've seen this firsthand because we're taking care of our 93-year-old my father-in-law, who's in a care home right now. And the care workers always say to us that they notice that we're the ones that are always there. The rest of the residents there, hardly any family comes to visit them. So that tells me a lot, right? And, kids move away. You have to think about that. For my parents, I live, 1,000 miles away in another city, so I do what I can to assist them whenever needed. And don't forget, a lot of us adult children now, they have responsibilities. They have their own family to take care of, their own retirement to take care of, they have work responsibilities, so they can't always be dependent to be there. And then, the other thing is, maybe the kids didn't have a great relationship with their parents and they're estranged. I was estranged from my parents for a while. It's probably the last 10 years or so that we finally, came to some peace. So the other thing that I want to mention that I learned is, fear of growing old alone and solo, it's real. I'm not going to say it isn't, but I don't think you should be ashamed of it for choosing not to have kids, because, as I said before, it's never a guarantee that they're going to take care of you. And from my life experience, I have seen this, right? There's more people in that care home that have nobody visit him, or hardly anybody visit him, than they do. So, just growing old solo just requires a different plan. That's all. And I just want you guys to remember that. And one of the things that I also found out that from an article that I read, that a lot of people that are growing old alone, they would develop a community network. So make friendships with friends from different age groups who will, hopefully look after them when they get older. And I read about this story about this widower, and she had a neighbor who was probably in his 30s, and he would come over and make dinner for her, help her out with the duties around the house, wash her hair and do things like that. And I just thought, wow, what a incredible and generous soul. So it's not lost on us, right? And you guys got options, and make sure that you also take care of your legal matters too, so that that they're not deciding for you, right? And I think it's important to take care of that early. The other thing that I want to discuss is buying your independence early. If you plan ahead and you start making your decisions in your 40s now, because your goal is to preserve your independence and dignity. So set up all your legal paperwork. My wife and I had discussed getting that done. We don't have kids, so who will we pass our assets on to when we're no longer here? Those kinds of things. Long-term care, making sure we put enough money aside for that. And so all those things come into play. And I think once you start doing that, it relieves a lot of stress, right? And you feel a lot more peace. You can start enjoying the 50s, because this is a time for us to reclaim our lives after spending so many years taking care of responsibilities, working, and so I think you guys all owe it to yourself to do that. And last thing I want to talk about is worrying about your 80s when you're in your 50s. It just takes up wastes so much valuable time, and you're thinking about these things and getting stressed out about these things. And so, as I explained earlier, I stopped worrying about this thing. I start mapping out what my life's going to look like in the second half, and to make sure that all that is all taken care of, to protect myself. And fear basically disappeared afterwards, and I stopped worrying about those matters now and started enjoying and living life. And for me, I have to say that it wasn't easy, because there were so many things, when you're in your 50s, that start going through your mind. You start thinking about your mortality, you start thinking about aging parents, you start thinking about having enough for retirement, you start thinking about what I'm going to do in retirement. And all these things can be very, very overwhelming. And you start worrying about even your own health, right? So you end up with decision fatigue. So I developed a tool for this to help give me some clarity and really narrow down on what part of that needed attention the most. And for me, it was just having some source of income to keep coming in, so I don't have to worry about not having enough. And I think that's probably what one of the biggest worries I've had was, running out of money, or just being tight and basically not living the life that I want, right? And I don't spend a lot of money, but I do love to travel, and I do love having options as well. And I didn't want to go back to living like I was a student again, or even as a young adult where I was just pinching pennies, right? So if you want to use a tool, it's free. So just go ahead and click the link in my bio or in the comments section, and you can try it out. Let me know what you think. And so that's my message for you guys today is, and I hope it gives you guys some clarity and alleviate some anxieties that you might have. As I mentioned, my wife and I made peace with all this, getting old and so forth. And, it doesn't always have to be doom and gloom all the time. So if you don't have kids like I do, I want to know, what is your biggest fear about the next 20 years? Feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video and resonate with what resonates with you, feel free to comment below and like, share, subscribe, and feel free to check out my next video. All right, take care. I'll see you next time.